All right. Well, my name is Mike Lagerquist. We are here today talking about MSU theater and dance alums, and one of our native sons, even North Mankato native, Mollie Fischer is here. She's back living in North Mankato. And where, Mollie?
Right next to my parents.
There you go. So everything truly does come full circle. So, but you've been back here since the summer, I believe. You've purchased a house and you've been doing some work, but you're also, some regular work, but you're also making another Mankato debut in a production for Mankato Playhouse. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
First, let's talk about the origins of Mollie Fischer. Tell us, where you were born or raised, if it was probably North Mankato, and how you got into theater through the years.
Well, I'm from here. I'm from North Mankato, and I got into theater because my mother, Toni Fischer, used to perform with Merely Players when I was a kid, and I always wanted to be in one of the shows as well. On top of that, she would direct the musicals and some plays at Mankato West High School.
Sure.
And there would be nights where she couldn't keep me and my brother home alone because my dad was at a meeting, and she would bring me and my brother to the theater. And I just remember seeing the stage and thinking, I want to do that. I want to be up there, but I was way too timid, way too quiet. And it took me a couple of years to really get that courage to audition for shows. And I only got into my first show at age 12 at Merely Players, which was Children of Eden, because my mom was in it. And they said, we need kids. And my mom's thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity for Mollie to get into the theater scene. And so that was the first time I ever got on stage. So I grew up with a theatrical mom, and she was also an amazing singer.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from her and watching her direct at a young age and being around theater.
Well, and she was great in Children of Eden because I was in that production as well, and she played the serpent.
That
And
she was the snake. Yeah.
yeah, what a great role for Toni.
I forgot you were in that too, Mike. So you
Yeah.
were there for my theatrical debut.
Wow, if only I had known.
Yeah, 12 years old.
Okay, well, what else have you done for Merely Players? You must have continued on.
Oh my gosh, I did a version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. I was in Honk with Micah Kronlachen, who was also an MSU alum. We've known each other since we were kids. We were probably 10 years old when we met, because our family moved from upper north to lower north. And so I began at Monroe, and I met Micah there when I was probably 10 years old. And I thought, this kid has a lot of confidence and he seems really cool. And I knew that he was in theater too. And I was so jealous of him. And lo and behold, we did some Merely Players things together. And then we were in Les Mis at Mankato West as seniors. We were one of the few, or two of the few freshmen who were in Jesus Christ Superstar. But at Merely Players, yeah, it was Honk, Children of Eden, and the Snow White show. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah. And then I got into sports at high school, and then I got into high school theater, and that was it.
Now, did you have a voice that you felt comfortable with right away, or how did that come about?
I started at a young age taking piano. So I kind of had that musical sense at a young age. And then I moved from piano to flute when I was probably 12. And I remember we were doing some sort of program when I was a sixth grader at Garfield down the street. And we were singing a song. And I remember the girl in front of me turned around and she said, "You have a really nice voice." And I didn't think, like, when you're that age, you don't know what you have and what you're capable of, really. And so I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. So I asked my mom to put me in voice lessons. So at one point I was doing piano, flute, and voice lessons from one teacher. Probably at age 12. Yeah. So I worked really hard, and I was in voice lessons from probably age 12 until I graduated college. It's been a long time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what was it? Did you ever have any concerns about going to school at MSU, or was that your first and only choice, or how did that come about?
I wanted to audition as a kid for an MSU show so badly. And I remember auditioning for a summer production. It may have been Annie, and I botched the audition. I was too timid, too scared. My mom was in the back of the theater going, louder. And I couldn't produce at that point. I was so scared. So the first show I got into MSU was Paul Hostel's production of A Christmas Carol. And
Oh,
I was probably 14 or 15 years old.
mm,
And I finally had gained the confidence and the experience from doing Merely Players to get in a MSU show when I was 15. And meeting a lot of the students who went to MSU, I thought they were so nice, so welcoming, especially to the kids, who come in and they do the big productions. And doing shows, I think I did two or three summer stocks there as well, like Cinderella, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I can't think of any other ones, but I did a few shows there before I decided I want to go here. I knew who Dr. Hostels was, and just meeting all those students, I was hooked, and I loved the theater, and I heard about all the opportunities that came with this department, and I was hooked. I think I only applied to MSU and UMD just to play it safe, but I wanted to go to MSU. Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, because UMD, that's a sad substitute. Sorry, I didn't say that.
No, of course not.
No, we'll cut that out. Well, and when you came to MSU, was that before the BFA program, or was that?
I think the BFA program was 2 years old.
Okay, and did you audition for it?
I auditioned when I first came. I auditioned for the freshman talent grant, and then I auditioned for the BFA, and I was accepted, I believe, my sophomore year to the BFA
Okay,
musical theater. Yeah,
okay.
and I was ecstatic about that. That was, to me, that was the perfect the perfect path for me, definitely.
Oh yeah, because anybody who knows you knows that you're a triple threader.
I
Yeah,
try.
you are. So yes, BFA. Are you musical theater BFA?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
That seems appropriate.
Yeah.
So what was your first show at MSU, and what was the experience like for you?
My
I mean,
first show
I
ever
mean, as a student.
as a student was Man of La Mancha.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it was beautiful because they had Dr. Kim Julian star in that show, and I got to watch other alumni like Ashley Fitzsimmons, who I definitely looked up to as like a powerful female. So because she played Aldonza in that, so I was on stage with powerhouse actors and performers, so that was a wonderful experience for me as a freshman. And I do remember at my review that year, the audition for that show, I sang some Rodgers and Hammerstein song, and I told Dr. Hustles, like, I just wanted to get in the show. And he said, no, you should be auditioning for the lead part.
Oh,
But in my mindset as, a freshman, I thought all I want is to get in the musical, and that was where he starts molding your mind of how you want to think as an actor, and not think of just getting in, but like, what part do you want and how do I get it? And that was the first time that I thought, oh, I can go for, the lead role, and I can do, this song would showcase that. So that was an eye-opening experience for me.
okay.
Mhm.
So what were some of your favorite moments on the MSU stage in shows and else? Oh, otherwise, I don't know. Were you in the Kitty show?
I was in the Kitty show,
Oh,
Rising Sun, Rising Moon, written by Randy Wyatt,
okay.
who was an MFA directing student
Yeah.
at the time. He's a brilliant, brilliant playwright. So yes, we did Rising Sun, Rising Moon. And I think one of the most amazing experiences for me as a student was playing Peter Pan as a sophomore, because I became very good friends. One of my best friends is Claire Wellen, and we ended up living together, and we did a bunch of shows together, and she ended up going to Broadway, which I'm just so incredibly happy for her. She's
Yeah.
a stunning performer and incredibly smart woman.
And
And
it was in Once, we should
she
say.
was in Once on Broadway, yeah. And I remember when we heard that we were doing Peter Pan, I thought, oh, Claire's going to be Peter Pan, so I'm going to audition for Wendy. So I didn't even think about that I would be playing Peter Pan. And so I went to the audition, and I got called back for Peter, and it was 3 of us. And I didn't know how to play Peter. So I had to quickly, think, like, I grew up watching Mary Martin play Peter Pan.
Mhm.
We had the VHS, and I wore that thing out. I was obsessed with the Mary Martin Peter Pan. And so performing that role, I think, gave me the confidence as a performer, and thinking I can do this, and I have the ability to do this, and just working so hard. But yeah, I was actually thinking of flying the other day, of what it felt like to be in the harness and flying. But yeah, Peter Pan was a huge growth moment for me. I loved being in Gypsy. I played Gypsy Rosalie, directed by Paul Finocchiaro, and I played that with Jacqueline Olsen, who I'm still really good friends with today. Thoroughly Modern Millie was a dream role of mine as well. I did that when I was junior, and I loved also playing Mame in Mame. I didn't think that was a role for me, and I'm glad that it was that I was cast as Mame, because it really challenged me as an actress, brought me out of my little ingenue box.
Sure.
So that was fun too. But
okay. Yeah, at this point, I wish we did have Dr. Hustles here, because he could give us all kinds of insight on, because a lot of those shows were directed by him, I believe. He did a lot of the musicals, he and Fino did.
yeah, yep. Yeah, they did. I only did, I think, 2 plays at MSU. I was in Bus Stop,
Mhm.
written by directed by Dr. Hustles, and 7-Year Itch, and that was a summer stock production. So I loved any chance. Oh, I was in Comedy of Errors, but I didn't have any lines.
No lines? How could that be? Were we tired of listening to you by then?
Well, it was Paul Finocchiaro did a laugh-in version of Comedy of Errors, and so he used me and Claire Wellen as this like twin duo, like Vanna White style. But yeah, we didn't have any lines, but we were on stage a lot.
Okay. Well, now for Bus Stop too, I remember, didn't we, and wasn't Ted Paul invited back for that?
Ted Paul came, and the woman who also played Cherry came when Ted Paul directed her. And we have a picture, I believe, I have it somewhere, a picture of our cast with their cast.
Wow.
I can't tell you what year that was, though. Yeah, I remember meeting Ted Paul, and that was such an amazing experience. Yeah, that was really wonderful.
Your first time meeting him, I suppose?
It was the first and only. It felt like royalty was in the room,
Yeah, it was great, because when Ted was still coming to shows, I would see him in the hallway, and you always say hello to the name for whom the man for whom the theater is named. And I would
Right.
say, "Hi, Ted, how are you doing?" He'd look at me, in his tie and very dapper look, and he'd say, "Better." And
Oh,
I always liked somebody who always thought of today being better than yesterday, and
that's,
a
yeah,
real positive attitude for that. And by that time, he was well into his 80s, so
right,
I
right.
have that kind of attitude going on. Now,
It
Molly,
almost,
what year did you graduate?
2009. Mhm.
Okay, and can you tell us what preparation maybe you did before you graduated for a life after MSU, and how things came about for you?
Yes. The best thing, I think, for me to prepare me for the real world was the pace in which we put on shows at MSU, because since graduating in 2009, I have been working as a professional performer since then. I first worked in North Dakota at Fargo-Moorhead Community Theater, and we did a children's tour. I did a dinner theater down in Florida. I moved to New York for 9 months, and I started to learn the film scene. I worked in Iowa at the Sondheim Center for Performing Arts a few times. I think I did 3 shows there. And what has been mainly floating my boat, pun intended, is working on cruise ships since 2011 until last year when we were sent home. Yeah, but the one thing I think that MSU prepared me for was being in the BFA musical theater program. You have to get into an intermediate level in tap, jazz, and ballet dance. And working this past year, I was working for a Carnival Cruise Line, and all their productions, every performer has to be a triple threat. You have to sing, you have to dance, you have to act. And I also worked for another cruise line where the singers, they just park and bark, and that was fine, but you also have to act. But this was the first time where I was running around stage in 3-inch heels on a moving ship and belting Whitney Houston.
Oh, wow.
And I felt like, if this isn't an Olympic sport, I don't know what is, but the only thing that could have possibly prepared me for that job was my MSU experience, because of the pace that they move at and the level that they want you to be at when you graduate. And the professionalism was huge. You know, it's thank you, thank you, thank you with everything that you're given. And just the work ethic, I think, is why I've been so lucky to have worked professionally this whole time.
Now, with that type of experience, is it the same show you do all the time, or are there several shows that you're doing throughout the run of the cruise?
Right. Yeah. So for the cruise, let's say we're on a 7-day cruise. We had, before COVID hit, I was on a cruise ship, pretty like mid to large size cruise ship with a gorgeous theater. It was probably three decks high, state of the art. The stage did a lot of, like, they had a turntable, levels and everything. We had 4 shows that we learned. So we did a country show. So I had to sing country, dance country. Then we did a show called Flick, which was music from movies, where I had to sing Whitney Houston. And then also dance to music from what was it? 007, James Bond.
Oh, sure.
So things like that. And then another show called 88 Keys, where it's all piano, like a piano bar guy, but I was strictly a dancer in that show. So that was just all dancing and then backup singing. And then a rock and roll show. So I had to sing rock, like not heavy metal, but like rock and roll. So like Pat Benatar, things like that. So the variety and what I had to learn how to do, sing Whitney Houston, to like a soft power ballad, to screaming my face off, to country. We're asked so much to do, and you just have to bring it. So yeah, in that 7 days, we had 4 shows that we performed. So on one night we would do the country show, and it would be a 7 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show. And then maybe we'd have a day off and then do the 88 Keys show. So it's a lot, but very, very rewarding.
Again, at MSU, you were learning multiple shows or scenes and other things all the time. So just another MSU class.
Right. I mean, even the rehearsal process for the cruise line is you are sent to Florida, because I work for a Norwegian cruise line and Carnival. And they both have these beautiful state-of-the-art studios that you learn the shows. And you are there from probably 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, singing, dancing, like all day, all day long. So it's a full-time job, the rehearsals, and we learned one show a week.
Oh, wow.
So it was very intense, but fun. Yeah.
Well, now, at what point, because I saw you in a show, I think it was at Old Log, Million
Mhm.
Dollar Quartet. Where did that fall into all of this?
Yes. So I moved to Minneapolis, moved on land, as they say, to Minneapolis in 2015, and I got into a wonderful theater, their Old Log Theater. It's the oldest running theater in Minnesota. And somewhere there's some sort of fact about it being one of the oldest in the country, but I think that's the Walnut Street Theater. So I got my first major gig in Minneapolis was playing Diane in oh my gosh,
Was that the?
Million Dollar Quartet.
Yes.
Yeah. And I did that for 9 months. And I was one girl with 5 men on stage playing rock and roll music from the 50s and loved it. It was so fun. It was amazing. So that was my first professional experience in Minneapolis. And after that, I was in the Ordway's production of West Side Story, which was incredibly challenging for me as a singer who I say can move, but that was a lot of dancing. And but it was a wonderful experience just to stand on the Ordway stage. And as a kid, I watched my mom direct West Side Story at West. And so I have a lot of good memories attached with that show. So it meant like a huge deal to me. And to me, it was a thank you to my mom for, introducing me to this theater world. And so that was a big feat for me. And then I went back to the Old Log Theater and I played Mollie in Ghost the Musical, which is a wonderful musical, for 5 months.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, and now you're back in Mankato, North Mankato, technically. You are working a day job, but you've also gotten the first theater gig here. You've conquered the Ordway, you've conquered Old Log, and of course MSU and Mankato West along the way. What is it that you're up to now?
Right. So I'm in a lovely musical called 5-Course Love at the Mankato Playhouse that will be performing on Valentine's Day weekend, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the show it's very fun. It has 3 actors playing 5 different characters. So also from my MSU experience, we had to take dialects class. So Southern, Italian, German. Well, guess what? I have to do a couple dialects in this show as well. And I'm trying to channel my dialects class to help me with this German accent. So it's three actors play 5 different characters in 5 different love settings. It's really funny. Probably PG-13 rated, so don't bring your kids. It's hilarious. It's so much fun. And the other 2 actors in it, the 3 of us have all actually been on stage at MSU during Peter Pan.
Oh, wow.
So we have Travis Schaefer, who is a student at MSU, and Seth Rausch, who was the head lost boy in Peter Pan, and Travis was one of the pirates. So the 3 of us reminisce a lot about MSU.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. What is the format of the show? It's a musical, as all of the Mankato Playhouse shows are, but how does the music mix in with the different scenes?
It's actually kind of I don't want to say a rock opera because there aren't any sort of scenes in between. It's, I'd say 99% music. And the music is written by this guy named Greg Coffin. He also worked on another Broadway show, I can't remember at the moment, but he wrote the book, music, and lyrics for the show. And it's all contemporary musical theater. It's really fun to sing. But it changes from a Southern barbecue joint to an Italian restaurant, because it's called 5-Course Love, so it all takes place in restaurants. There's a German scene. which is the spicy number. And let's see, and then a like 50s diner type. Yeah, so it's pretty fun, and every scene is different from the last, and every character is different from the last. It's just my brain is very tired from trying to remember what dialect am I using right now.
Oh, sure. Now, is it a lot of man and woman in a restaurant and a male server, or do they mix up those roles?
Yeah, so it's a man and woman, kind of like what you said with a server, but they like every role is important, you know. And every scene is kind of a different type of a love story. So you have the dating one, and then you have the cheating one, and then you have that's odd and interesting and kind of steamy one, and the dreamer, and then the couple in love. So you get all sorts of types of love scenarios with different characters. It's very entertaining. I haven't done a show like this since I did I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change at MSU. This is kind of, it feels like one of those.
Well, now, wasn't there a certain guy named Travis Schaefer in that one too?
No, that wasn't
No.
Travis. No, that was Matthias.
Yeah.
Matthias Becker and
I thought it was Travis, because that was directed by Fino, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm thinking Smokey Joe's Cafe. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I think I was gone after
Okay.
Smokey Joseph.
Okay, well, now I was going to ask.
Jared Oxborough.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, Jared and Matthias, and me and Chrissy Dryland Smith.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have any real life waitressing experience that you can bring to this role, or?
I don't. I only have bartending experience, and I don't even
Ah.
play a bartender. I just stand at one.
Okay.
I think at one point, though, the director has me on roller skates. So luckily I have done that
Okay.
in my youth. But
Would you be able to share a few measures of a song with us today?
oh,
Give us a taste of what we're going to see.
yeah, okay. So this is I don't want to spoil anything, but I was working on this song earlier tonight, and this woman shows up from a dating service hoping to meet the man of her dreams. Her name is Barbie, and she was hoping that the guy that she was meeting, well, his name was supposed to be Ken, but she finds out that his name is not Ken.
Oh.
So she says, I'm gonna take my heart, believe a 10, cause I loved you when I thought your name was Ken.
Well, thank you. Very nice. Now, while we're talking about love,
Mhm.
can we talk a little bit about your own life and a little bit of love that's come into your life?
Yes. So the great thing about cruise ships is you meet people from all over the world. And then you decide that you want to be engaged to them. So, yes, I met a lovely, lovely man from Argentina. His name is Fetty. And he was my sound guy on the last ship that I did. So he made sure that my microphone sounded really, really good. So all you vocalists out there, make sure you marry a sound technician. Yeah.
But that helps you bring a new layer of love to 3 or 5 course love.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we got engaged in November, and we bought this house together, and we are working on sending in our visa next week. So it's a lot of exciting things coming. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, if people want to come and see you in 5 Course Love at Mankato Playhouse, they of course can visit mankatoplayhouse.com. It's very easy that way. And it is a dinner theater. So, and I want to make sure everybody knows they are following the guidelines for social distancing, and people will be asked to wear a mask during the show. But the tables are set in such a way that it's very easy to maintain that distance. And I know in the past, we even kept the front row seats away from the stage a little bit, so there's not that perhaps spittle that might come from the actors as they're going through their 5 courses of love.
Right. Even on stage as actors, David is keeping us probably 3 feet from the very edge of the stage,
Mhm.
just to give the audience that peace of mind. So it is well spaced out. It's a great little venue, so people should
And then
feel.
And the nice thing is they're selling tables. So if you've got a group that you have in your household that
Mhm.
you want to come to a show together, you will not be separated. You can stay at a table and enjoy the evening there yourself with Five Course Love playing at Mankato Playhouse opening on.
February 12th until the 14th.
All right. Thank you, Molly. I certainly appreciate your spending some time with us. It's been great to reconnect. You've been back in town. I have not run into you yet, but as we were talking, that's because nobody's going out. So,
Exactly.
so I would have to drive over to North Mankato to yell at you from the curb. And I haven't wanted to do that yet. So,
Well, this was the second best from that then.
all right. Well, thank you very much. And we hope that we'll be seeing you on stage here in Mankato and in Southern Minnesota more often. In the meantime, you are teaching yoga. Is that
Yeah, so I teach yoga through the YMCA on the Front Street Studio, and yeah, and just started singing with the band back in the cities again too as well. So,
Oh, great.
but maybe further down the line. So,
All right. Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Stop recording. There we go.